Senren Banka is Yuzusoft's 9th visual novel in its collection, commemorating its 10th year anniversary. A traditional romantic comedy story set in a rural area of Japan where the town's deep historical tradition and folklore meets modern time hijinks. With Yuzusoft adding another addition to their catalog of romantic comedy works filled with cute characters and attractive artwork, can you expect this title to bring you the same amount of consistency of laughter and love? Short answer, yes. Longer answer, it's a welcome addition to the library. Senren Banka focuses on our main character Masaomi as he travels to the distant and isolated rural town of Hiyori, where its rustic charm and old historic traditions have turned the small town into a bustling tourist destination. As he explores the town, he stumbles upon a couple of key attractions: the town's signature relaxing hot springs, the welcoming nature of the residents, and the beautiful alluring dance of the village's shrine maiden. However, nothing comes as close as the divine blade Murasama, to which hundreds of tourists attempt to pull out of the stone it is stuck from. That is, until our protagonist manages to break the sword in half. To make amends, Masaomi is forced to stay in the town of Hiyori and marry the village's shrine maiden. And if that wasn't hectic enough, from the divine sword, he meets a strange spirit girl that only he can see. These strange events all come together and Masaomi gets pulled in to learn about the curse of Hiyori, a strange affliction haunting the town from many years ago. The heroines are Yoshino, the serious and dutiful village shrine maiden, Mako, a playful but also loyal ninja bodyguard, Lena, an optimistic and happy exchange transfer student, and Murasama, the spirit guardian of the divine sword Murasama. There are also two other side routes that the game gives you: Roka, the older sister-like childhood friend, and Koharu, Masaomi's younger cousin. Before you can enter in any one of their character routes, you are taken through 2 chapters of the common route, with decisions along the way that will affect which character that you take. The routes that I took for my gameplay experience were Murasama, Roka, Koharu, Lena, Mako, and then Yoshino. Yoshino is one of the main focus heroines, the village shrine maiden that our main protagonist Masaomi gets engaged with. While each character focuses down within their own route after the common route, Yoshino herself grows a lot within those first 2 chapters. At the very beginning, she comes across as a very tough, harsh, and unyielding person to Masaomi. Yoshino clearly means well, but because of her serious nature, she comes across as very harsh. But over time, she becomes a more compassionate character as the two of them clear up their misunderstandings and they improve their relationship. After the big moment when she changes, Yoshino shows off her more embarrassed side and her reactions become way more cuter. Once we step into her route, these expressions almost double after getting through her initial embarrassment from being a couple with Masaomi. The conflict solely for her route is resolved fairly quickly and the rest of the route becomes pure fluff, which serves as a double-edged sword for me. It's pleasant to see and it definitely got steamy, but I also wanted to see a bit more meat to her character story, and seeing it resolve very quickly wasn't in my favor. Special shout out to Yoshino's dad, Yasuhara, for just being the best side character and dad, as he helped to make things way more funnier than it needed to be. Mako is Yoshino's faithful friend who's been with her ever since they were children, and she's also Yoshino's assistant for her curse-repelling duties as a skillful ninja. She's a very attentive person to the main cast, often being a supporting character willing to help out her fellow friends, and in the other route she's often the one pushing the romantic situations for her friends when she sees it. In her route, however, she's actually the most vulnerable to being flustered, and it's a treat. Mako's route is the most romantically involved and has a slower start compared to the other heroines. It got to the point where I was growing impatient of how long it took to establish their relationship. For a heroine that acts as a supporting role, the route addresses her quote-unquote supporting character personality, and I like the way Senren Banka goes about this. I also like the route for its introspective look on understanding love and romance, given the context on another part of the Hori town legend. Lena is a sweet cinnamon roll delivered by the angels of heaven, sent down to heal our hearts with her honest-to-goodness, cheerful personality. When I first read her initial bio, I thought she was going to be the least interesting out of the main heroines because of how detached she felt from the main conflict. However, her radiant personality and enthusiastic drive made reading her route way more enjoyable. I just kept rooting for her every time she made an advance towards our main character. There's a lot of quirks with Lena due to her being an out-of-country transfer student, and the hijinks from her mannerisms to her language to her food choice becomes a channel for lots of jokes, and they often land because of how earnest she is. But despite being an individual from outside Hori and their traditions, Lena was the glue that kept the cast tightly knit like a warm blanket formed of their bonds, appearing as if she was naturally a part of the community all along, and they really home in on this point in her route. I also commend Senren Banka for really diving deep into the lore they have created for themselves. Senren Banka introduces a legend that can be explored in many different parts as a result of the different routes, each examining their past history and what effect it has on each of the heroines, but overall driving the point of what our cast can learn and grow from them in modern times as the full truth behind the mystery folklore is revealed. It's for this reason why I would recommend reading Lena's route first and then Mako's route, as the two intertwine in the legend. Murasama is the divine spirit of the blade Murasama, as well as the guardian protector of the town of Hori. She's a dutiful individual in regards to protecting the town and serves as our partner slash guide as the master of Murasama. She acts very prideful, but occasionally her childish side comes out, like when she gets scared of ghosts or scolding Masaomi. Murasami's route explores her predicament about her life in Hori conflicting with her duty as the guardian of the sword. It's a very wholesome story, and I personally felt like this was the proper ending and closure to the game's lore as a whole. Roka and Koharu are part of the same side route, but there's a choice later on that decides which character you want to follow. Both of these routes are way shorter than the main heroines. Roka and Koharu are Masaomi's old childhood friends. Roka is portrayed as the big sister, while Koharu is portrayed as the little sister. Roka and Koharu's route is very departed from the main conflict involving the Curse of Hori and the Divine Blade, and instead focuses on Roka's family business. Roka's route makes the most logical sense, dealing with her responsibilities as the successor to her family business. However, out of all the heroines, Koharu is the weakest character, with the main point, and only point, being made of how cute she is. Now, the route order I took was Murasama, Roka, Koharu, Lena, Mako, and then Yoshino. However, I would recommend Lena, Mako, Roka or Koharu, Yoshino, and Murasama in this sequence purely for lore progression, as Lena and Mako go hand in hand, while I personally think that Murasama has the most conclusive ending to the game. That said, feel free to choose whoever you want to pick if you like a certain girl. Fitting for the setting of a rural Japanese town, the soundtrack is oriental based and has an upbeat tempo for the game's lighthearted moments, while also having a sense of a mysterious otherworldliness during its more serious parts. Each heroine has her own specific track with two versions, one with a casual instrumental and another with a more softer emotional feel. A couple of my personal favorite tracks are Destiny and A Single Bond, quiet version. One of the highlights of the art of the Yuzusoft games is that the environments always look very crisp and lively with color, and there are no exceptions here. As for my final thoughts, Yuzusoft has created another great title. Most of the main heroines are so into their role with their sense of duty or obligation that it begs the question of what happens next after it's all over. Our heroines will find their answer that no one is alone. By reaching out through others, either through bonds of friendship or by pure acts of love, they are able to move forward towards their new future. Senren Banka presents this in a light, heartfelt tale, wonderfully combining its self-created Japanese folklore with the stories of our cast.